I would like to talk about the four primary pilgrimage places in Buddhism. These four sites are quite closely related to the Buddha's life story. The Buddha, prior to becoming the Buddha, which is a title meaning the enlightened one, was named Siddhartha Gautama, and he was a prince of the Shakya people who lived in a Himalayan foothill kingdom. The capital of the Shakya kingdom was Kapilavastu, the ruins of which can be visited today. But the Buddha was not born in Kapilavastu. He was born in a small village known as Lumbini, where the stories of his life tell us that his mother happened to stop at to bathe on the way to her mother's place. There's a temple dedicated to her. Her name is Maya Devi. And there's a pillar that was erected by the Emperor Ashoka several centuries after the Buddha lived that indicates that that might indeed have been the site of the Buddha's birth. The second important site, and perhaps arguably the most important of these four, is Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, attained enlightenment. He meditated for a long time and finally hit the highest stages of realization to Buddhists, known as nirvana, literally the extinguishing or snuffing out of all illusions. He's sometimes depicted in deep meditation in a meditation gesture and representations of him, and he's often represented reaching down to touch the earth in the earth-testifying gesture. This gesture reflects what he does when he realizes he has attained the highest realization, but there is no one there to witness or testify to it. And he asks the earth itself to testify to his attainment. The third important site is when the Buddha leaves and walks 100 miles or more to a forest grove not far from the holy city of Benares. This is the forest grove known as the Deer Park at Sarnath. And there he encounters 5 ascetic friends who had sort of abandoned him when the Buddha started not performing rigorous austerities. And when he begins to preach to them, they realize that he probably has got something valuable to teach, and they become his first disciples. This event that actually kickstarts or begins the Buddhist tradition is represented in images of him counting out the 4 noble truths, which is the essence of the first sermon that he preaches. And it's sometimes known as the wheel-turning gesture, where he sets in motion a set of teachings that will conquer the world. And finally, the last of the 4 sites is a place known as Kushinagar, which is sort of in the middle of nowhere almost. And scholars sometimes think perhaps the Buddha was walking there because it's somewhere between Bodh Gaya and Kapilavastu, and perhaps he was heading back to the place of his birth. But there, the Buddha leaves his physical body in what's known to Buddhists as the parinirvana, the further nirvana, which isn't really a higher state of realization, but just one where one finally gives up the physical body. He's represented in the parinirvana in a lying down posture, sometimes known as the lion posture, where he's shown resting on his right side. To Buddhists, if you are born, you will die. If you die, you will be reborn unless you attain realization or liberation. And this is precisely what the Buddha is regarded as having attained. Lumbini, where he was born, Bodh Gaya, where he attained enlightenment, Sarnath, where he preached his first sermon, and Kushinagara, where he entered parinirvana. These are regarded as the four most important primary pilgrimage sites in Buddhism.